we're trying to be that best version. That best version could have expired last week. That's no good for us. And so running after that best version time and time and time again, it is exhausting. And that's why a lot of us women are tired because
Yeah.
we're trying to find that best version and she's gone.
Hey, I'm Megs, and welcome to the Freed to Be You podcast. I'm a life alignment coach passionate about helping women uncover who they really are so they can author a life they're obsessed with and move away from self abandonment into full self expression. This podcast is created with one purpose: to give you permission to finally free yourself up and be you in every area of your life. We discuss everything from mindset, health and vulnerability to relationships, parenting, and more. My guest today is the dynamic Karena Calhoun. She is an international podcast host, a dedicated consultant and coach for remarkable women on their entrepreneurial journeys, and she empowers them to overcome their obstacles and achieve their aspirations. As you just heard, we discussed what it means to let go of that expired version of ourselves and rediscover what's authentic to us now. I know you're going to love this one as much as I enjoyed recording it, so let's dive in. Karena, welcome to the Freed to Be You podcast. It's so good to have you.
Hi there. I'm super excited to be here, Megs.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, we've only just connected recently, but I'm really loving your vibe and I'm super pumped about what we're going to talk about today and the gold that you're going to bring to those listening. So tell me a little bit in your own words where you're from and what it is that you do, or even just something interesting.
Okay, so I am from the United States, the East Coast to be specific, Richmond, Virginia, and I am a mom, I'm a wife, daughter, sister, all of that good stuff. I'm also an international podcast host, much like yourself. I am helping women, Megs, to really dial into who they are, what they want to be. But more importantly, right now, I am building a hub for women. I want to be able to provide all resources for women. You just come here and get what you need because we all need each other, right?
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that. I love that.
yeah.
And
Super
what sort of,
excited about that.
yeah. So what sort of resources are you talking about when you say
Great
resources?
question. Great question. So, the resources that I see are the resources that I needed when I first started my business. I need a mentor. I need a coach. I need a cheerleader. I need someone that can do websites. I need someone that can do copy. I need someone that can do social media management. I need someone that can do everything that I need done, but not take me to the bank, number one.
Mm,
And then number two, folks that I can trust,
yes.
And so having that curated list of people that I can lean into was important to me. So I want to provide that same resource to other women so that number one, those other business owners have the ideal client they need. And then we also have the resources that we need. You see how that's like a domino effect?
I love it.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's my
Well,
ultimate goal at this point.
I love it. And you've already been a wealth of knowledge for me on a couple of topics. So that's why I know this is going to be super valuable. So, one of the things that I really love about you, and this was even before we got to talk, this was just in the community, was your vibe is so freaking cool. So, even just in text form, or when you're replying to a comment, or just the way that you show up is so authentic and fun. And so the reason I'm doing this is because I work with women as well. Most of the people listening are going to be women. And I want them to have permission to be freed to be who they are. And so
Mhm.
whether that's in business or in their relationship or in the career that they have, or as a mom, as a wife, wherever it is that they're showing up, I want them to feel like they can be themselves. So I really felt that from you before we even talked, that you were somebody who kind of gets that and has that vibe about you. So we're going to have a juicy chat about this, which I'm really pumped about. So yeah, I just wanted to say that's why I have Karena here talking to you, because she's one of us. She's one of my peeps already.
Well, I will say this, Megs. I've listened to a couple of your episodes, and you have the same vibe.
Well,
It
I
is
hope so,
so lovely.
because
I
that's what
mean,
I'm all
really, and
about.
like you said, we're people.
We are.
You're my people. I'm your
Yeah.
people. And in order for that to happen, there has to be some type of synergy.
Yes.
And when I listened to your show, I felt so comfortable, so at ease. And so, but yeah, thank you though. I really appreciate that. We'll chat about that because that is my heart's desire. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So one of the things that I found in my journey that held me back was feeling like I had to put my best foot forward all the time. Like I was constantly being fed this message of be your best, be your best, be your best version. Strive to be the best version of yourself. And we hear this a lot. It's kind of like become a bit of a, I don't know, it's one of those catch cries that you tend to turn off to because it's said so many times. Don't you find that? That's one of,
I
that's
do.
everywhere right now. And so I really want to dig into that with you, because you and I, we are at our best, but we're like genuinely, authentically being at our
Mhm.
best. And it's taken a lot of work to get to that point. So what does that journey kind of look like for you?
Really, really great question. As someone who is 50 plus, I won't go into the full age, but it has taken a lot of intentionality. It has taken a lot of self evaluation, doing a lot of the hard work. And you hear people talking about that a lot, but Megs, I really want to drill into a couple of things, which is, and I actually just had this conversation with my daughter last night. Very interesting. She has a goal and she's having a hard time with the goal. And one thing I had to tell her, she'll be 26 soon. One thing I had to tell her was that you've got to first have compassion with yourself. You've got to really, because sometimes when you're trying to have certain things, do certain things, if you don't quite make it, the compassion that you have for other people, you seldom have for your own self.
So true.
So have compassion for yourself and also forgive yourself. And that those are things that I really had to dive into on this journey of being my authentic self. And like you said, a lot of times people are looking for their best self, the best version of themselves. But when you begin to look for your authentic self, really dial into that, that's when the good comes out. That's when the bad comes out. That's when the indifferent comes out. And you've got to have that empathy. You've got to have that self-compassion and you've got to forgive yourself because you're undoubtedly going to find out some things about yourself. Why did I allow myself to go through that? Why did I allow myself to deal with that? Why did I make that decision? And so you've got to forgive yourself. And so the journey that I was on forced me to go through all of those emotions and to really understand that I am a human having this amazing experience. And I did not come here with a handbook. I didn't come here with an instruction book to tell me how to do it. So the fact that I'm here today is amazing. So the journey, whatever your journey is, it's okay that you went down whatever path. And I say that only because you're here today.
Yeah.
You won this far. But that journey to your authentic self, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work and it takes you having those boundaries, setting the boundaries and really enforcing those boundaries so that you're able to love yourself first and foremost before anyone else does. Love yourself in a way that is authentic to you.
Yeah.
And so those are just a few things that really come to my mind when you ask me, what was that journey like? What did you do? What did you go through? And my main focus was I definitely did not want to be the best version of myself. That just
Mm,
is not it. That is not it.
yeah. Yeah. Because that's fluid, right? As we grow and evolve and we have new experiences and we have chaos ensues, as it always does, another level, another devil. Like we're going to
Mm-hmm.
change and we're going to evolve, and that self is in motion. So it is going
Yeah.
to change. So we're always going to be striving for that. But I think that one of the things that I like to say is, rather than go after your best self, I just want
Mm-hmm.
you to be the most freed
Mm.
version of yourself. Because when you feel that freedom to just be who you are in the moment, be who you are right now, which is not who you were when you were 20, not who you were
Mm-hmm.
when you were 30, and not who you're going to be when you're 60,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who you are
Mm-hmm.
right now, when you can stay in that space of feeling free to do that, then you get to discover it along the way and rediscover it along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that removes this feeling of having to be anything else other than
Yeah.
exactly what you are.
Yeah. And one thing that comes to mind, I love real life examples because that's my life.
Yeah.
We've all had so many experiences, and when we can share them in a real life form, it just makes it so much juicier. And
Yes.
I want to
You're a
give an
producer
example
here.
of, yeah, I remember when my daughter was just a young girl, and this was back when everybody used to go to the mall. And so we went to the mall one time, and I have always, you talked about how I come through, even when we met in the community through text form. Well, that's my authentic self. But during the time period where I was finding my authentic self, my daughter and I went to the mall, and I remember if I saw a lady and she had nice hair or a nice outfit on and I liked it, I would say, "Hey, I like your outfit," or "Hey, I like your hair." Number one, I'm an encourager. We all have gifts, and that's one of my gifts. I am an encourager. I know that about me. And my daughter got mad. She was embarrassed. She said, "Mom, why do you always have to say something to people? Can't you just like it, look at it, and move on and not say anything?" That one comment that my daughter said to me almost shut me down. So, what you see today, had I listened, and she didn't mean anything by it, she didn't mean anything bad. It was just something that made her uncomfortable. And then she vocalized it to me, and I almost took it to heart. I mean, it bothered me for a while, and for a while I didn't say anything. But had I stuck with someone else's discomfort, as much as I love my kid, we got to be honest here. Because when you think about it, the people around you, the closest to you, have the most effect on you. And so, had I listened to her and taken that to heart and acted on that, what you saw in the community that you talked about would not have happened.
Yeah. Oh, and I
So
can
we
think
have
of,
to be very careful. Yeah.
yeah, we do. Yeah. I can think of so many times where things were said or someone had an opinion, or you've been through those times where things come up and then
Hmm.
they kind of, you,
Hmm.
you get it reflected
Yeah.
back and you don't like it. Where you do shut down, and it's this ultimate self-abandonment. Like we just
Hmm.
completely abandon who we know ourselves to be just to make everyone else around us feel more
Hmm.
comfortable.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it
And they don't
sucks.
mean anything bad
Oh,
about it.
no, they don't. Not necessarily. No,
Most of the time, we'll say
no.
most of the time, because we've had folks in our lives, I'm sure, women, okay, we're being honest here. We've had people in our lives that absolutely meant something bad by it. They
Yeah.
knew they wanted to shut us down. But for those that did not, we took what they said to heart, even if it was for a moment. We acted on that because we are women, we are nurturing, and we want to make sure the people around us, the people closest to us, are okay. But we forget to put the oxygen mask on ourselves. And while we're making sure they're okay, we're dying because we don't know our authentic self. Because what happens is, instead of learning our authentic self, really dialing into that, we're trying to be that best version. That best version could have expired last week. That's no good for us. And so running after that best version time and time and time again, it is exhausting. And that's why a lot of us women are tired, because
Yeah.
we're trying to find that best version and she's gone.
Oh, I love that. Let's dig into that, what you just said there a second ago around that best version expiring, because that's a different way of looking at it that I've not heard it put that way. So there's bound to be women listening that feel the same ways. What do you mean by that when you say it's expired?
So, when you think about a version of something, let's just think about a program on a computer. Just think about that for a second. There could be a version 2 and a version 3 and a version 4, where if you go use version 2, you're not going to have the most up to date information. You're not going to have the most up to date visual. You're not going to have, it's going to be outdated. And when you try to use that outdated version in today, then guess what? You are already behind. But then one key thing happens. People begin to become accustomed to that outdated version. So now you're stuck on version 2, but there's a version 3 and there's a version 4. Well, why not come bring yourself up to your ideal self? That way you don't have to worry about all of these versions. And so I tell people, being your authentic self, that is that work that we have to do, that self reflection, that introspection, that work that says, I am this, I have been this, and I'm okay now. I forgive myself for some of these things that have happened, and now I'm ready to go and, just like you said, be that fluid me. And we don't have to worry about, well, who am I today? It's
Mm.
like having to put on a new outfit every single day. You go to your closet, you got to figure out, well, what am I going to wear today? Am I going to wear this red shirt? Am I going to wear that pink one? Am I going to wear the blazer? Well, when you are your authentic self, you don't have to figure out what to wear. You just be you.
Yeah.
And when you set the boundary, we set boundaries for time, we set boundaries for how people love us, we set all of these boundaries. But what happens when we set the boundary of, I'm my authentic self? That is a
It's,
boundary that we don't talk about.
mm. Do you know what too? I think that, well, I definitely found this for me in my longest relationship, which was my marriage. I found that you sometimes abandon yourself over time. So sometimes you
Mhm,
don't even know that it's happening. And so
mhm,
this was a kind of innocent on both sides, where, you slowly start to adapt to make each other comfortable and make each
mhm,
other's life easier. And then you get all this way down the line, and you start off just sort of 1% off, but then you get like 20 years down the road, and that 1% has in the wrong direction, is a
mhm,
huge gap, a huge
mhm.
void to try and come back from. And that's definitely was my sort of journey. But it was not that I'd made any kind of decision to be something or to not be something. It was just this gradual veering off course, just to
Mhm.
constantly stay in that comfort zone in that relationship. And so I think that that's like another angle we could look at this from, is like, what do you do? What would you say is the best thing you could do when you find that gap between who you actually are, or who you know yourself to be now, and who you're actually being?
Really great question. And that's one thing that I really like to drive home with people, especially women, that when you find that out about yourself, the first thing you need to do is assess the situation. Who are the people that are around me right now that would be affected the most if I began to be my most authentic self? Because those are the people that are either going to reject it or accept it. And so, if those people closest to you begin to reject it, are you going to move back into that comfortable space? And so, you've got to make the hard decision of, do I stay here while I'm making this change about me? Because the people that are closest to you are going to have to do one or the other, accept or reject. And so I
Mm,
would say the first thing is to really evaluate those around you, because while you make that change into your most authentic self, as you transition into that person, of course, it's not an overnight thing. It may not even, it may take 5 years. We don't know, but however long the process is that other person or other people, are they willing to walk that journey with you and be right there alongside you? And if
yeah.
they're not, then that's something you've got to really look into first and foremost, because there's no point in trying to make this transition in your life and then shocking those around you saying, hey, look, now I'm someone else. And they're like, who are you? Where did you come from? They don't recognize you. It'd be so much easier and so much healthier for you to have those people that can walk with you. So
Yeah.
I would say the first thing is evaluate those around you.
Yeah.
Are they open? Are they willing to help you?
Yeah. Such great advice. One of the things that I focus on is helping people to first actually figure out what that is.
Mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? Because if you've been being something else for so long that's not
mm-hmm,
you, and you've not felt like you could step into even beginning that journey, it's
mm-hmm,
terrifying to even
mm-hmm.
think about. And so,
Yeah.
one of the first things that, after assessing the situation, which is a great point, is then you got to actually go back inward,
Mm-hmm,
figure out who you are, figure out what it actually is that you want to step into and who you
mm-hmm.
actually are, like rediscovering that
Yeah.
version of yourself that you are now, not the one you're going to
Yeah.
stay, not the best version,
Mm-hmm,
like you said, but who you are right now, and then who you can live into moving forward. Hey, it's just, it's a never ending journey. We're forever
exactly.
changing.
Exactly. And Megs, you talked about an ex-spouse. And I've had an ex-spouse. It was a very tumultuous situation. And the transitions that I've gone through in my current marriage of finding my authentic self, because the process had started when I met my now forever husband, but I've still been transitioning and becoming my most authentic self, and he is 100% on board. And when you have that versus what I had before, and I think you can relate,
Yes,
but when you
100%.
yeah, but when you've had what we've had before, it's like, no, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. And the words may not necessarily be specifically you can't, but there is a shoving and a pushing and a pulling back to who you were so that they're comfortable.
So, so true. And you're right. When you have someone, and I am lucky enough to be in that position now where I have someone amazing who we're both growing together and we're both committed to constantly evolving and getting better. So when you're on that journey and when the people around you and the person closest to you is on that journey with you, you are literally in a space of being free to be you. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to constantly, it's like this new coat that you put on and you constantly like
Mm-hmm.
trying it on and then might not fit, so you try on a different one. Like it's a discovery process.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
like one day you're this person and the next day you're that person, and even
Mm-hmm.
once you're there you're going to change. So
Yeah.
you've got to have someone willing to go on that journey with you. You've got to have someone
Yeah.
who's also wanting to step into their best, with you,
Mm-hmm.
Sarah went to say it, their best version, but their truest version that they are,
Yeah.
but that's how
Yeah.
much this best version is like ingrained into our
Exactly.
subconscious, because people are talking about it like that everywhere now. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, what is that though?
Yeah.
And is that
Yeah.
free? Is that free
Right.
to change and evolve and grow as you grow? Because, hey, like life is far too short to be anything other than freed and self-expressed and happy
Mm-hmm.
and, finding that fun inner child and bringing it out and actually living life. It's just like
Right. Right.
too short not to be doing that, in my opinion.
And and can you imagine, Megs, when people are freed to be themselves, how much more they can accomplish regarding their purpose and their vision? Because they're
Yes.
not tired. You're not tired. You're not tired trying to be the best version. You're not tired trying to figure out who you are today. You are simply being your authentic self, and then you're able to actually see what your vision for your life is.
Yeah.
I would have to imagine the women that you talk to, once they're able to be free to be themselves, they're able to really understand what their purpose and vision is. Because if you're only going off of the best version of yourself, you're confused probably about what it is you're supposed to be doing because you've got so many versions running around.
So true. And you're right. Like part of what I do with people is help them to uncover who they are, help them to uncover what's meaningful to them. And then that is actually the paint, for want of a better
Mm-hmm,
word, that we use to paint that vision. Those
mm-hmm,
discoveries are baked into their
mm-hmm,
vision for their future, something that they can aim at constantly, but
mm-hmm,
never necessarily that they're going to actually even arrive. It's got to be far enough out there and big enough and
mm-hmm,
exciting enough to
mm-hmm,
inspire them to move towards it, whether they see it come to fruition or whether they just start that butterfly effect or that ripple
mm-hmm,
effect of making it happen. But
mm-hmm,
having that discoveries, the realness of who they are, the values baked into a
mm-hmm.
vision that they can get excited about every day and
Yeah.
evolve towards that vision.
Mm-hmm,
Totally part
mm-hmm.
of what I do. And it, yeah, like without it, it's you just don't really have a compass.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I love to really, the process that I went through, it allowed me to really see the vision that was already, we all, there's a purpose that we all come here with. And so that life vision, it's already there. It's just that because we've been so many versions of ourselves and not our authentic self, that vision is muddied, it's not clear. And so as we continue to take these layers of versions off ourselves, that vision becomes clear and we're able to reach for it. And a lot of times I tell people it's like it's on a bookshelf. If you think about, if you dust maybe every 7 to 10 days, you've got a knickknack on the shelf. But then you move that knickknack and then you see the dust and then you dust there. What happens a lot of times with the dust when you pick that object up, the dust begins to disperse. Well, a lot of times that's what our vision is like. It's been sitting on that shelf waiting for us to pick it up, and that dust begins to disperse. That disbursement is like the people around us become agitated and disgruntled if they're not supposed to be there with us. So there's
Mm,
an effect that comes with us really dialing into our authentic self, being freed to be our authentic self, and then really dialing into our vision. I mean, it's an entire process. And the fact that you're bringing people together like this to be able to do this is just absolutely amazing. I love it. That's why I'm super excited to be on the show because I,
yeah.
I love talking to you about this.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's so good, isn't it? So, what is your vision for this group? Because I mean, obviously, you've got the hub, and you're going to put the resources in there, and you're going to bring all these women through. So, what's your ultimate vision for the women that are going to come into that space with you?
My deepest desire is for each of us. I believe this, Megs. I believe that if every single person on the earth were to dial into their purpose and their vision, then we would not have the lack that we see, and there would not be as many voids as we see. So each person would then have exactly what they need. So if I get into place and do what I'm supposed to be doing here, then the people that have been, I believe there are people that have been assigned to my purpose to be impacted by my purpose, then they get what they need. Just as you have now moved into your purpose, there are people that are assigned to your to be impacted by your purpose. They'll get what they need. So each person gets what they need, but then as each person dials into their purpose and their vision, then the people impacted by them. So you see it's this domino effect. So my vision is that we all get what we need, but in the most integral way. It's not a take, take, take. It's let's give through our vision, through our purpose, through our authenticity, and then everyone around us is built up and everyone has what they need. I believe I'm an introvert at heart. However, I love humans and I believe we all have a purpose here. And I believe we're all supposed to work arm in arm with one another. That is literally my goal, my desire to see people coming together, working arm in arm. It doesn't I don't care if you're man or woman. I don't care if you're black or white, Asian, Latino. I don't care. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what color you're not. I don't care what religion you have. I don't care about all of this stuff. Can we just work together to benefit the earth? That's my goal. So that's what I see in a roundabout way.
I love
That's
it.
my goal for
Yeah.
this community.
Yeah. And I guess like what you're saying is once everyone kind of figures that out, which we're both on that journey with people, which I
Mm-hmm.
love. So once they figure that out and when they figure out what they're here to do, then they need the resources to be able to go
Mm-hmm.
out and do that, which then actually creates exactly what you've just
Yes.
described. I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Beautiful. And so what would be the biggest thing that you would want someone listening to take away from what we've just said? If we were to sort of summarize this into like one really powerful point, what would you say you would want someone to take away from this conversation?
I would say the biggest thing is don't be afraid to be you. Don't be afraid to be free to be you because it's scary, but don't be afraid to do it. That would be the biggest thing that I would say because if you can get past that fear, you're unstoppable.
So good. I feel like we could I have about three other things on my mind, and this would be three times as long. So maybe we'll have to do a part two. But so good. We're so aligned. And this is one of the things that I'm super excited about, having this platform and bringing people together or bringing people onto the show that are aligned with what I'm trying to do, the reason I'm trying to do it, but also in values as a human.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about alignment. So I'm all about identity, who you
Mm-hmm.
really are, and then adding with that, aligning your life to that so that you can actually lead and author a life that
Mm-hmm.
is going to actually excite you so that you can
Mm-hmm.
be excited and fun and self-expressed instead of just going and it's accepting what comes your way, having life happen
Right.
to you. So yeah, thank you so much for giving us your perspective and your wisdom today. It's been awesome. And is there anything that where can people find you? Is there anything that you have going on at the moment that you want to share before we sort of wrap up this beautiful convo?
Absolutely. I do want to say this. I want to just kind of put this in there really quick. You talked about our identity. A lot of us are in an identity crisis, and
Oh, yeah.
that's why we are going the routes that we're going. That could be another conversation we'll have at a later date.
Yeah.
But I will say that folks can reach me at gobegreatcoaching.com. And the main thing that I have going on is building out this hub for women to come and get all of the things that they need. And you can find information about that on the website as well, gobegreatcoaching.com.
Amazing. Well, I'll put that link in the show notes along with your social media handles and things like that, so people can reach out to you and find out more about this hub. And yeah, definitely, you're definitely having your back. We've got a
Yes.
job to do. We've got a vision to fulfill, and many, what they say, all tides lift all ships. I never get that quote right, but you know where I'm coming from. So it's been so good to have you on the show. And as I always say at the end of these conversations, life is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. It's time to get out there and be brave, like you've said, be the real you. And it does take some discovery. So if you would like to reach out to me as well, we can definitely dig into that more, and I can show you what that process looks like. And before you jump off of this, I do want you to reach into the links down the bottom, because I have an amazing quiz which is going to help you uncover one of the things in the way. And that is that inner mean girl, that bitch on your shoulder that tells you you cannot be you. Let's uncover her and figure out how to get her out of the way so that we can step into being freed to be you.